Alright, here we are. We're back. Full Ball Vision is back. And on a Wednesday. A Wednesday. Why is that? Well, we had a break last night, to watch England's lacklustre performance in the World Cup against a strong Ghana side. But probably we should have just, done the chess, because it was a pathetic display, wasn't it, honestly? Honestly, it was poor. But we don't discuss football on the stream much. We play chess. That's what we do. Gonna go for some rapid games tonight. Blitz has been good to us, but it's also been, what's the opposite of good? Bad. So we're going to play some rapid games and try and up the quality a little bit. Try not to hang as many pieces. Give us a little bit more relaxation. Tonight's stream is sponsored by the one and only PG Tips. Thanks for the free tea. I needed some PGs. Right. Okay, so here we are. E4, E5. Nice standard opening to start the stream off with. Now then, what's been going wrong and what's been going well? What's been going well? Well, not much lately. Been getting into time trouble a lot. Probably been chatting a lot. So maybe a bit less chatting. When our opponent stalls on move 2, we can chat a bit. Okay, so we could play in Italian. I quite like the Scotch lately, so let's go with the Scotch. See what occurs. Alright, so we're expecting them to catch on d4. We're going to capture back. And then we'll see what happens. The Scotch. Yeah, a new addition. Usually I'm an Italian player. Yeah, just trying to widen the opening repertoire. Okay, here we go. So, it's taken a minute to get there, but here we are. So what they do here, maybe bishop c5 is a move. Queen f6, they play bishop c5. So we're going to drop back to b3, attack this guy. This is the Potter variation. They'll probably go back to b6. Yeah, and then I guess knight c3. And we'll see what happens. I think on knight f6, now here I think we can play bishop g5. And I think we should do, before they get h6 in. And I guess we're looking for like queen e2, castle queenside. Get the long castles in. Alright, so they've hit us with h6. Guess we should drop back to h4. Maintain the pin. We don't want to take this. Don't think. That looks a bit foolish. We're not walking into anything here, are we? Don't think so. So, Leonardo Az. Like it. Good name. We've got Harris Heller on the stream beats. Good old Harris. Right, d6. So this makes sense. They want to get their bishop out somewhere. Probably e6. They didn't castle, so the king is still in the middle at the moment. I think we just want to play queen e2, honestly. I think that's what we want to do. And let them play bishop e6. We'll castle long, and then we'll think about it. I'm guessing that's the thing. What we always want to be careful of in this variation is like, we're going to castle long. Yeah, so let's just do that. It's a bishop g4 that can't be stopped somehow. So if we play f4 next, looks aggressive, but bishop g4, does it work though? Maybe on bishop g4 we could take on f6, intermezzo. They take our queen, we take theirs, they take our rook, and maybe we lose an exchange there, I'm not sure. Anyway, we probably don't want to play f4. We maybe want to play g3, bishop g2, and then f4, so we can put bishop f3 in the way. Queen e7, yeah, makes sense. This is a bit weird. We've got our bishop on g3, so we probably don't want to play g3 here. We'll just get trapped. This knight is pinned, so knight d5 is an option. That's an option. PG Tips coming up with the free backs. Alright, knight d5. Now, if we play knight d5, there's a bishop takes, a queen trade, and then this knight's attacked. But maybe our d5 pawn is a bit weak there. But maybe not. I mean, we get the bishop pair, so I quite like knight d5. If we don't do knight d5, what we're going to do? f4. Again, we saw bishop g4. We're a piece up. We're still a piece up. We're an exchange down. Yeah, I think we just lose an exchange in that line. So we probably shouldn't do that. Okay, but we could try for f3, g4, g5. Don't like that so much. Is knight d5 a problem? No, let's just take the bishop pair. Knight d5. Okay, on bishop takes, we can play rook d5 because this knight's pinned. So we should think about that for a moment. It looks weird. It does look weird. Would there be a queen e4 move? I think there might. We would capture, they would capture, we trade, they capture back. They want a pawn. I don't quite like the look of that, so I think I'd rather do this. Allow a trade of queens. Yeah, okay. Any other move? I don't think so. Alright, so now this pawn is hanging. This pawn is defended. The knight has come across, so f4 makes sense. We can cripple these pawns over here and give the bishop pair back. f4 looks like a good move because this knight doesn't have any forward squares, I don't think. Plus, it's no longer going to be attacked. It does leave g4. Okay, actually, they could play knight g4. So maybe we should capture. I mean, maybe we should do that and play f4. Drive the knight back to somewhere like g6. It's difficult. Perhaps just rook e1 is a move, because this is actually defended. You know, maybe we don't need to rush. Then f4 becomes more of a threat. So I quite like rook e1 actually. Any threats in the position? Don't see any right now. This could be a good move though. Yeah, feels wrong. Okay, I'm banking on this not being possible because there's going to be some bishop f3 or bishop d3 or something, some discovery that's going to be annoying. And we're still, you know, we're still threatening this in inverted commas. G5 played. Okay, this is unprotected now. f4 is possible, right? If they take us, RAM. My machine's RAM is low. If they take us, we can take them, and then we're opening the e-file, which looks pretty cool. We lose a pawn, but that pawn is over here. And they can't take us because they'll lose a knight. So I quite like this move. Okay, so let's say they take us. We play f4, they take on h4. Yeah, we capture their knight. Probably they take, and then we capture back with a check. We've given a pawn up, but I mean, that pawn is here. Surely that's a good idea. On the other hand, we can just drop back. Maybe that's also a good move. Hard to say, but we're rapidly running out of time, as usual. I fancy the energetic move. Mind you, bishop g3 still threatens this. What can they do to get out of that? They could castle long? f4, yeah, okay. Alright, let's go. Let's go. Okay, this knight move obviously doesn't work. We capture it back with a check. And this one doesn't work, so we capture it back and that knight is pinned. So, energetic moves with the knight. I don't think there are any. We'll do something. with this bishop, or we'll retreat our dark square bishop, which is attacked. So I feel like this is the only try. Oh, missed that one. Okay, they're going to capture this pawn for free. Okay, I think we just got to live with that, unfortunately. Oh, missed a bishop e3 check. Poor. Okay, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Okay, now we're attacked over here. The only thing we've really got going for us now is the bishop pair. Or maybe that counts for something. We should probably keep that on the board then. G3. I mean, they can just move this bishop. So I don't think we can allow that. So bishop here. Then we do also hang this pawn on H2. Difficult. Honestly, it's not easy to see a way through. Maybe F4 was just a big time blunder. Alright. We're going to go 2 pawns down. We're just going to have to try and grovel. But we could be going down here. Alright, what to do on bishop H2 then? Hang on, is there a G3? Ah, the bishop might be trapped. I think we've got to try that out. Knight G4 doesn't work. Neither knight to G4, so they'd be forced to try this out. But I don't think that works either, because we're going to go here. So maybe we got lucky there. And the point is that a knight cannot protect this guy. This guy. Okay. Missed this. Alright, what about bishop D4? We're in quite big trouble here. We don't even have time for this. Okay, what to do, what to do. Alright, gotta try and keep the pieces on. Alright, is that 2 clean pawns we lost, or is it 3? It's 3. Oh, this could be resigns. This could be resigns. Okay. Alright, rook G1 or rook F1? Probably rook F1. Oh well, looks like Leonardo has just convincingly outplayed us. F4 was just a blunder. Bishop E3 was coming. Okay, maybe there's something going on. I mean, a bit of this action. Take this guy. Keep the rook there. We want this knight in the game. This knight is not in the game. Okay, let's just try to sink that bishop there. The only thing we've got going for us is that black's 3 extra pawns happen to be in front of their king, and we've got the bishop pair. But really, this must just be dead lost, and the end is nigh. There's not really anything we can do at all. Alright, F5. I'm not so unhappy about that. Okay, should we get rid of this attempt to trade that knight off? Maybe we should. We could go here and then here. Pawn will advance. Don't like the look of that. Okay, let's just try and get this guy in the game. A trade might look attractive to our opponent. And then maybe we can double rooks or get both rooks active. Okay, well, at least there are ideas now. Cheap tricks. Rook F4, because the G5 is pinned. This knight is might be pinned if the king... probably king h7. Oh, but hang on. That's kind of interesting, king h7. Because we could capture here, and then play this, followed by this. No, I think it's too slow. Okay, if we do capture here, if we capture here first, pawn takes. We capture this, pawn takes. We've got bishop g6, check. The king would go to h8. Yeah, I don't think there's anything there. Okay, which means nothing's really happening here. So, can we cook up anything? Could take here, and we could play this so that we can capture this, but no, we still can't. Oof. Okay, which piece is not contributing? The king. Okay, this is cheap because we can then capture that and play rook g7, and that may even be good. So let's try that. You can't capture this. Or probably you can't. There is a check that will move, and I still think you can't capture that back because that is just unplayable. Rook f7. Oh. Okay, we're back in the game. Back in the game. Cheap tricks sometimes work. Cheap. That was cheap, wasn't it? Okay, but we're still a pawn down. Yeah, okay, so hang on, we could move to attack this knight, which might make this even better. Where would the knight go? Here. Probably. Maybe we king c2 it. Yeah, I think king c2 it. My king will c2 it. My king will c2 it. Brilliant. Love that. Right, okay. Do we give up an exchange for some mental stuff? I don't think so. So we should retreat. I guess. I kind of want to take this. And that. This is not possible. This bishop's not great. This is still not actually capturable, right? Like, it's still the same thing. So can we make that work somehow? We actually don't need this bishop either. This check is going to force them there, and then rook f8 is going to force them... Rook f7, sorry. Is going to force them to give something. So maybe we can actually try and win the pawn back. That looks a bit stupid. But I don't think we need to defend this f4 rook. Bishop f3, there are no checks. I don't think there are any threats. They take this, we play rook g7, check, king h8, rook f7. This doesn't work. The king would have to go back to g8, and that's a draw. Which I think is all we can ask for in this position. So, at risk of having done something ridiculous, this just looks ridiculous. I mean, we have an extra piece, but they've got 4 pawns for it. That's the problem. Okay. Oof, I think we may have gotten away with a draw here. You know, maybe we can get more than a draw. Can we get more than a draw? Alright, this... Maybe... Is there a windmill? There's a windmill. There's a fucking windmill. We can take that and windmill. Ah, no, there's no windmill, right? Because then there's knight f6. We need to guard against knight f6. So I thought maybe this is good, but I think it probably isn't. So just go for the draw. I don't think you can do that. Alright, did we get out of it with a draw? That feels like a win. This is how Ghana must have felt last night. Happy days. well, oh, that's the best we could have hoped for. Alright, well, we got out of that one. I believe we got out of that one. Alright, that'd be a draw by repetition. Not bad. Alright, let's very quickly have a quick analyze. What went wrong here? Well, we gave away the pawn on f2. That's obviously what went wrong. Somewhere around... on f4, rather. Okay, yeah, here. Bishop g3. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, looks fairly even. This was a huge blunder. And things went downhill. Oof. Oh, and apparently there's a good move here. Bishop b5 check. Oh, as if I missed that. Bishop b5 check. I bet they were screaming for it. Bishop b5 check. I guess if c6, then we take this. Yeah, let's have a look. Bishop b5 check. c6. Take this, they capture back. If they capture back here, then we take an e4, and if they captured this, rook takes d6. Okay, yeah, everything's falling apart. This thing is pinned. This bishop's trapped. Okay, miss bishop b5 check. That's kind of annoying because it's a check. Should be an easy move to at least consider. And here we're just getting toasted, completely toasted, and then it's a draw. All right, okay. And here we miss rook takes d2. Fuck, I'm not sharp. Rook takes d2. And it's not clear that that's... Okay, yeah, okay. It's very clear. All right. Okay, some big missed opportunities there, but it was a fun game. Got away with a draw. All right. On to the next. And any would-be challenges. Have we any challenges? No challenges. All right, but do challenge. All you millions of viewers out there. All right, reset. We missed so many good moves in that game. We can do better. All right, French defense. Let's go. Ghana. That was a Ghana game. Bishop d3. What's this? The Schlechter. The Schlechter defense. Yeah, got to pronounce it with a proper German accent. Oh yeah, here's the Schlechter defense. Es ist ja so gut. It's very good. Right, what's going on here? This kind of weird thing. I think we can play knight f3 here, because now there's no... there's no bishop coming to e4, and then the knight attacking on f6. And in those lines, you want to play knight e2, but that's not happening, so... Knight f3. That comes to f6, we can probably castle here. I'm a bit worried about c4, so maybe I throw c3 in first. That looks annoying. Looks pretty annoying, but still... Yeah, maybe it's not good for black. Maybe that's just too much. They're going to do it now, aren't they? I feel like a pawn on c4 here for black is... We're gonna be able to attack that. Okay, they've voluntarily given themselves an isolated pawn on d5. We can take on d4, but I don't think we need to rush that. We can give a check. And this rook is definitely coming to e1, so yeah, let's do that. Multiple options to win. Yes, I can't stop thinking about that last game. All right, knight d4. I feel like there's no rush to capture on d4. Maybe we can even slide around this way, but also probably no reason to delay, so let's do that. What do we need to be worried about? I don't know. This bishop is passive. This is an isolated pawn. It's an IQP. They want to push this pawn. We want to control the square in front of it. c3 is an obvious move. Is it too slow? How are we going to set up? Probably this knight's going to end up on b3, or maybe even f3. Yeah, maybe that's the way. We develop a piece, and against knight c6, knight d2, knight c6, we can play knight f3. Temporarily this knight feels a bit loose, but I think it's okay. We have to be worried about things like bishop g4 pinning us and stuff. Yeah, so maybe we've walked into that a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so now I think c3, yeah, they're going to capture this, and we're going to have to take back with a pawn, which we definitely do not want. If we hit the bishop, they'll trade on f3, and that this guy's hanging. Ah, okay. Maybe... Okay, if we hit the bishop, the trade on f3 will take back with the knight. Then they'll have moves like d4. We don't want those. Maybe we've got to play bishop e2. Looks awfully passive. But I can't see another way. And follow up with c3. So we've ended up in a bit of a passive situation because we allowed bishop g4. Didn't think that was coming. We've also got the option to take with the knight, which I like even better, because this is a poor bishop. This is a good one, and you know, why not force the issue? Get the knight back on d4 and play c3. Queen on d4 is going to get attacked somehow, so let's do that. Okay. This is interesting because queen e2 now is going to hit that bishop, so there'll be something to do to solve that, and then even knight f5 is playable because... Oh, maybe it's not actually. Okay. Maybe. They'll play rook e8, I'm sure, after we play this. Rook e2 looks weird, so I think we've got to capture back with the queen. On rook e8, we might choose to close a file, which makes these pieces look a bit stupid. Yeah, bishop e3 then. I mean, it's all about controlling the d4 square. Knight g4 is not going to unsettle us, because we've got the light square control. Maybe we should play c3. Then maybe queen d3, rook ad1. See what happens. Alright, so this is going the standard way of a full ball vision stream game. I chat away and end up with a significant time deficit. Alright, c3. What's going on here? Why did the queen come to d7 exactly? Yeah, just to clear the back rank. No threats, I don't think. c3. Is this knight going to jump into e4? We will play rook e1 and maybe try to actually target this pawn. We want trades, I guess. We want trades in all positions. Trade the pieces and bring the king against this isolated pawn. Yeah. But we should think. We shouldn't play things unthinkingly. It's an improving move. Maybe queen b5 is actually an idea. Making use of our knight on d4. Always got to be careful. Not anymore. Not anymore. Okay. Queen f3, so we can play knight f5, and we also liberate our bishop away from any kind of discovery against our queen by playing queen f3. We also hit this thing. It's probably no use. Slowly improve. Okay, they've got a minority on the queen's side, so they're probably going to try and throw those pawns at us, the old minority attack. And they may try to attack our weakness on b2. But we should be able to defend that fairly easily. So this position feels comfortable, if a little dry, honestly. A bit dry. Much like this mug. Okay, well, it's nice to be back, full board vision. No blindfold games tonight. Maybe at some point we'll bring the blindfold back. Okay, now then. A trade of queens, helpful. Then we can probably play bishop f4. This knight doesn't seem like it's doing anything there. Or nothing serious. And then we can trade rooks. Or they can trade rooks, we'll own the file. I think we want trades, so I don't see why we wouldn't trade unless there was something better. I don't see anything better. So let's go. Even I'd be happy with this and just get the rook here on a trade and get a flight square for the king. Probably want a light flight square because of this guy. So maybe we don't want that. Is there a more useful improving move? What about knight f5? Yeah, because this isn't really a problem. Okay, I'm going to hit this knight and hope that this takes place. play knight f5 at some point. Okay. Didn't walk into something there, did we? It's on a dark square that the bishop can attack, but... Okay, so they attacked our knight. Which makes sense, because if we want to take back with the rook, but then they'll trade rooks here, and, you know, and that will occur. But I mean, actually, if they take here and we trade rooks this way, then we attack this pawn. Yes, there's a check, but it's not a back ranker. They'll have a fork. We'll take this. They'll take that. That looks drawish. I don't think we should do that. Or worse. Maybe black even has an edge there, because the active rook. So probably don't want to do that. Knight f5 still looks like a good move. I think then what they want to do is push, get rid of their weakness. You know, so maybe we trade and play king f1. Or the other option, it's not an option. They'll take this knight. They won't, will they actually? They'll have to trade first. If we play rook e1, they can trade on e3 first and then take this knight with their bishop. So I don't like that. So we could trade and play king f1. And then after a trade on d4, there's no entry point for this rook, which will be on this square. Is there any other way? We could drop the rook back. That's another option. But then they'll trade on d4, which we don't want. Okay, so let's trade. Long-winded deliberation. King f1. Right, light square, covering the entry point, which is covered, but, you know, what's the word for that? The piece is, well, it's capturable. So anyway. Okay, all right, now perhaps knight f4. I quite like that. F5 rather. I like that move. It threatens to get into d6, which hits some targets, and discovers an attack on the d5 pawn, which is weak, and prevents any notion of capturing this thing. I said we wanted trades. Do we want to trade the minor pieces, leaving us in a rook ending? Don't know about that exactly. Maybe you want to keep this knight on. Okay, let's go. Knight f5. Don't see any good rook moves. This one makes sense. We'll go here. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm happy with this. Try and bring the king to d3. This can't be advanced yet. We could play c4. That's super interesting. That would give us a passer, well, not a passer, but we could create a pass pawn on the queen's side, but then they'd have a loose pass pawn here. Then our king would sit very nicely on d3. They could actually just take it though, because that rook's protected. So let's not do that. King e2. Yeah, it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to form a plan in this position. Okay. I quite like the idea of bringing the king to d3. It's a light square and it prevents the d4 advance. This is a thing, but we'll sit on d4. And if they give us a kick, we'll get to d3. Kind of uncomfortable, but we'll see what happens. We need some banging tunes, don't we? This is very chilled. Very chilled. Right. I'd like to thank my media team. They've done a great job this week. Okay, I'm going to come into d3. And this is a move that can be played, which is kind of uncomfortable, because then e1 is an entry point and my rook is defending that, so it's kind of hard to close the file. Is that a trade we really mind though? I don't think so. Yeah, take this, but we keep double pawns and they don't. And the bishop here is not great. gives us rook d2 and rook e2 as well. If they capture, we don't want to do that to the pawns, but maybe this is okay. Kind of feel like it's okay. If we advance, they'll take the check and we'll lose our rook. We'll have to come back here. We lose a pawn, so I think we have to take that. And now I quite like the look of this move. I really do. And have a trade and place the king here. That looks really nice. What could be done? This to attack this. Kind of difficult though, so I don't think you can take that. Because if you do, then comes this trick. It's a fork and it's one of those that you can't protect. So maybe we just drop back. Another option would be this to try and get in here. That's problematic, I guess, because I don't think that works. Okay, come back to d4. And I guess what we've done is kind of temporarily trapped this bishop. Right? Can't we attack it and force it here? And then play this where it's actually trapped? Okay, it can drop back here, but then we've got this, and there are problems there, I'm sure. Or at least we're getting active, so I like this move. Weird construction. Look at this. Weird. That's very strange. It looks wrong. Okay, this is a pre-move. I don't think that's going to happen because I reckon Mark Vangeldorp, 2000, wants to keep the bishop on. I was wrong. Okay. Now, if we glue the rook to d5, I mean, if that's what we're doing, then this is great. King is going to come to d6. We can invade at the back. We can also invade here, which will force the king here. Problems. If we go this way, we can't do the analogous thing. Okay, but I think this is kind of clear. King d6, rook c5, king e6, rook a5, rook d6, king c5. And this pawn is probably lost, but this one can advance, so maybe we don't want to allow that. Well, actually, this pawn isn't lost, is it? Because the king doesn't attack it. So yeah, we probably don't want to go in for that line, but still, we can probably improve our rook. That's what it comes down to, yeah? 8.5 minutes of toil so you can improve your rook in an endgame with a slight edge. And a huge time deficit. But you know, that's what we do on the stream. We babble. We babble. Alright, come on, Mark Vangeldorp. What do you do? What do you do? There's not really any life in these guys because they're just facing these guys. This is a weakness, and this is not going to do anything against these two. So I think it's just a question of holding on and aiming for some activity if this pawn ever gets lost from Black's point of view. But it's not clear what that activity is. Okay, well this allows this. King e6, then yeah, maybe we can do some stuff. We can also play king c5, which threatens this, which is kind of annoying. Or we can give it check. Of all the moves, that one kind of looks good, because then the king is probably going to have to come forwards. It's difficult. It shouldn't be difficult. It should be fairly easy. But I have a habit of making these things difficult. Go here. Try to force the rook back. Don't know. I think we're going to get skewered if we do that. So let's... Okay, let's go here with the check. And then maybe we can try and limit the king. And try... Actually, yeah, it might be interesting to try f5 to win the f7 pawn. In the hope that we push the king somewhere. In fact, yeah, that would force king g6, and then I think we'd be in shape there. Because I don't think rook f6 works there. So the line I'm thinking of is f5. So let's say black plays a6. f5, king f5, rook takes f7. Rook f6, I think we could trade rooks. Okay, they've gone here to attack this pawn. Fair. But we're just going to defend that. Or are we? We can play king c5. This rook then doesn't have much life. But this pawn can advance. Okay, I'm going to throw that in, because I think it's a good move. Aware that we don't want this pawn to run. After this move. After this move, I'll trot back. Oh, gutted. What have I done? Lost my b4 pawn. Lost pawn. Okay, we've got to go forwards. Okay, now we're in trouble. If we go here, we're going to get checked and we're out of the game. So we guess we've got to go here. And this thing is going to run. And we got big problems. That was poor. Okay, king c5. I mean, just stay on d4. Bring the rook. But no. Okay, missed a move. Right, time to reset. So we're in defense mode. We've got to defend against this pawn. Okay, at least on this we've got a rook move with a check. Okay, so maybe the best idea is actually to play from behind. I don't think being in front of the pawn with the rook was a good call. Okay, we can get cut off, but we can also advance, which might be the only way to get some counterplay here. Okay, but hang on a minute. This forces the king to a poor square. And then we'll be looking at... We're looking at this move, I think. No, actually, we want this one. No, maybe this one. Because if this runs, we'll just go here. Okay, I think we've got to do that. I think we've got to allow this, advance, allow it to go here, get behind the pawn, kind of hope that they try to collect here, we can collect this, and then we're just a pawn down. Okay, and we should be able to survive that. Okay. Damage limitation. Alright, so we're a pawn down in what should be a drawn rook ending. Now, that's probably the move. Now we defend our weak pawn. We might be able to cross. This is an annoying move. That is a very annoying move. Okay, wasn't played. Alright, let's go here, hoping that we get the check in, forcing the king back. This is the move, I'm sure. Okay, is this annoying? Because we get our king back into contention. Do we want to go back up there? Maybe we want to go here. Yeah, I think we want to go there. This might be an idea next. And try and get the rook in here, pinch this pawn, and try to hold on. Okay, king g3, I guess, is the obvious thing. This becomes a thing. And this king, okay, cool. Oh, that's interesting, because if we go here and they don't think about it, we can take that and play this. So, let's try that. Obviously, it's not capturable. On h6, we could perhaps give a check. I mean, we probably should have given the check first. Okay, let's give a check. Alright, so how should we try and drive this? Takes... Alright. Maybe that wasn't a great call, but the pawn has to occupy the square, meaning the king's going to find it hard to get back in. Then what do we do? I don't know. Attack this pawn. Maybe we're just going to lose, but I think we've made it as difficult for our opponent as we could do. And when they go to g6, we're going to the back rank and just try and play checks from behind. If they advance, we're going to capture. Yeah, they'll end up with a clear extra pawn, but with our king in front of it, it should be a draw. Okay, they want to hit us, so we come back. If we go there, they'll attack us, and then they'll get to carry out their threat. So maybe we should just, yeah, block the check. Now, the king can't make any progress. If the pawn advances, we'll drive the king back and take an extra pawn. So it looks like, I mean, how do you make progress? Try and give me a check from the front? I'll just sidestep. Checks from the side could drive the king back, and that might be a problem. Yeah, okay. But checks from the rear seem like it doesn't really matter that much. So, let's just allow checks from the rear. So rook g1, king f3. No, don't chase the rook and give this pawn up, that will be a problem. Problematisch. King f3. That does allow this annoying move, rook h1, forcing or threatening a skewer, but we just go back to g3. And now I think it's hard for black to make progress. Bring the king round, they'll just get checked from the side forever. Okay, we might be heading for a draw, but probably Mark Vangeldorp is not going to settle for a draw here. But we should be able to get one. Okay, rook f4, yeah, makes sense. I think we just wait. There are no checks, so that would have been an opportunity to go back up here, but okay, now we should give a check. Yeah, and if the king comes round, we give the checks. Okay, and now the king is going to have to go back here. The king has become active, but it can never become so active, I don't think. If you go down here, I don't know, probably we just go here. What do we do here? Can we do here? Takes. King goes there. Oh, problem, we can't do that. Okay, let's give the old check. What should we do? I feel like this is the plan. Maybe we should have gone here, actually, to allow checks from the side. Okay, let's do that, because actually this is a threat now. And here, then we'll probably go here. Okay, so now we're repeating moves, right? The king was here before, maybe not exactly, I'm not sure our rook was on the A file. Okay, but we're going to keep giving checks, and if only this rook was on a better file, you know, if it was able to block the check, black might be able to make progress. But I think here we're just showing that black can't make progress. And this game is going to end in a draw after king e5. Alright, not bad. I mean, quite bad, because, you know, I think we're doing okay, and then just blundered the B pawn on b4. Yeah, 2 draws. Oh well. Oh well. So, how far are we in? Well, that was an hour. We've had an hour. It's probably going to be a 2-hour stream. So we've got a couple of games left, at least. Maybe even 3. And we're in a Reti, you know? I hate this opening. Hate it with passion. Especially when the fianchetto on b2. So, let's see. Alright. Well, we're going to castle. We need to know what to do with our queenside pieces and our center pawns. c6 seems to work against this bishop sometimes. The idea of d5. Knight maybe coming to d7, b6, bishop on f5, something like that. Probably rook e1, or even queen c7 for e5. But they'll probably have something to say about that. And prevent us from yeah, d4. But then this bishop is kind of blocked, so that's not so bad. Alright, what should we do? I feel like rook e1, e5 is too much. I mean, we can't do it straight away, obviously, but the idea feels like it's never going to work. We might have to stop thinking about e5, and maybe we should accept that this bishop is bad. Okay, bishop f5. want to play knight d7, don't want to lock the bishop in, so we'll drop it on f5. If the knight attacks us, we'll drop back to d7. And we put the brakes on any e4 ever. c4 makes sense. Okay, but you're saying we're going to have hanging pawns. White going to have the hangers. So, we could try to, you know, play against the hanging pawns. You know, I don't mind that so much. At the end of the day, this is also not a threat. So, you know, knight d7, I think. Then knight h4 is going to say where we're going to put our bishop. So maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, but if we can't play knight d7, where's his knight going? Okay, what about queen c8 with the idea of trading off first? Capture here, knight takes here. I'm going to play queen c8. I just want to get rid of this bishop. It's a bad bishop. I mean, it's not so bad at the moment, but I don't feel like it can maintain its post. Alright, so if we do go in there and trade, yeah, the queen can get kind of bullied out of there with knight g5, but so what? Okay, now they're threatening to take here and, well, give us that kind of, I think it's called a Carlsbad pawn structure. It would open the c file against our queen, but our queen, yeah, so that might be uncomfortable. So maybe now is time to take on c4. The reason I don't want to take on c4 is then the center becomes mobile because there's no longer a pawn on d5, and that's going to allow the d4 pawn to advance. Not 2 moves, but 1. And that's going to unlock this bishop over here. So I don't really want to allow that. On the other hand, if I allow this, my c6 pawn is going to end up on d5. My queen on c8 is going to be attacked by a rook c1. Maybe that's not so bad. We've got queen d7, but I just don't like the rook getting to the c file for free. Don't like it. Okay, so I think we should just take on c4. Feels wrong, but the alternative felt worse. Probably bc and then bishop h3, I guess. Now we could do rook e1 to sort of, you know, prevent this from being attractive. Take the sting out of d5 with rook d8. I quite like that. Okay, or bishop h3. Is there any other move? Are there any other moves we should think about? Knight d7, as discussed. Don't like that. So let's, before we do anything else, try to solve the problem of our light square bishop and hope that after this trade, the fact that we haven't completed our development and our opponent has, is not such a big problem. By the way, these aren't even hanging pawns, right? It's just, it's a center. I forgot that there was a pawn on e2. So yeah, now maybe e4 and d5 becomes a thing. Having noticed that, probably taking on c4 was not good. Okay, but that's okay because they've decided to eject. Anyway. Alright, this is kind of interesting because we can trade. We can take here, and if the knight takes, we're fine with that. There's some world in which this knight is actually pinned, and we can pick up that bishop. I quite know what world that is, but I think we should get rid of that, and then try and understand what to do about this center. If we take, they can take back with a knight. Yes, we can pin that knight, but it will take back with a check, so it certainly won't come to anything. But maybe it's a good way to just continue and free up the c6 square if they play knight takes. If they play this, then e1, e4, e6. Not worried about e5 because we'll take that. So we can also just take that. Queen captures. queen captures, not knight captures. That would expose the juicer up there. So rook d8. You don't know expose the juicer. All right, Geiger 74, 1961. Now, because this d5 pawn is pinned, the c6 square is available for a knight to jump in there and use it as a hopping off point. And then on this, I guess we can't take that, but e6 is probably the move here. I think e6 is the move, because after e5 we can take here. So, but we can also take this, right? Maybe that's an oversight. We can take this. Take back. We take with the bishop. We hit the rook. The rook probably attacks us, and we drop back to g7, and we say we've won a pawn. I quite like that. So what are we missing? I think it's okay. I think we can take this e4 pawn. I think Geiger 74 might have overlooked that, thinking it's defended, but the defender is pinned. Well, it's kind of a discovered pin, isn't it? If you see what I mean. There's an X-ray going all the way to this bishop here, so that will unlock one, unlock the pin, and that will break the pin. So then the bishop can be attacked. The question is, I guess, that bishop looks loose on b2 for the moment that it stands there. And this knight is active. So is there some queen move which does something? Queen e2 or something. And I don't see that it does. And we attack this h1 rook, so a1 rook. So maybe we can just take this. Come on, I'm gonna have to ask. Good one. Good resignation. All right. It's a moment to switch up the tunes. All right. Well, unbeaten. Two draws and a win. That was a kind of a anticlimactic game, wasn't it? Opponent blundered a pawn and resigned. Fair enough. Fair enough. You are welcome to do that. Geiger 74. Yeah, fair. Maybe I should do more of that instead of playing on in lost positions. All right, all good. Okay. So let's move into the second half. And again, it's another Reti. Don't like the Reti. It didn't turn out so bad in that last one. If anyone has any good ideas against the Reti, let us know. Okay, e4. So we can't play e5. Guess we need to stop white playing e5. So d6, I guess. Doesn't look like there's any other option. Now, oh, we could have played. No, we can't. Okay, that's the idea. e4 is possible, exploiting the pin along the g file, along the long diagonal rather. Okay, I thought that might happen, but I think that's okay. Knight d7 now. Just try and trade off. Is there a moment to? Maybe, but it feels a bit weird. Queen d5? I think just knight d7. Really? And just kind of say, alright, this piece moved twice, this piece moved once, and I'm threatening to take it. Okay, now here, knight g4 is a fork. So that just looks wrong. What are we missing? That's all forced. Knight g4, and that's forking two pawns. And the threat here is severe. The king will have to defend that. And then probably bishop takes, and we win a pawn. And there's no dark square bishop anymore. Well, maybe there is, but still, it's a clean pawn. So the only thing that could make that not work would be, I guess, a check. But this check, I guess we meet it this way. And it still doesn't allow, after the queen trade, for a better situation. So let's just go. Now then, anything better than knight g4? Don't think so. I mean, it just looks too good to be true. Ah, happy days. You know, I reckon Ghana are going to go on and beat Croatia. Right? Because I know how it feels now to draw. And enjoy it. So we definitely don't want this because of f4. I'll say definitely. Yeah, that looks bad. So probably bishop takes, and then don't see any problems with the trade. Happy with that. And otherwise, yeah, happy days. So let's go. Picked up a pawn. All that for a humble pawn. Okay, knight f3 is an expected move. I've got that somewhere.
Expected.
I've not been using my sound effects much. I've got a good array of them. You know, I've got some for tactics.
Deflection.
Stuff like that. Earlier on, I should have used this one, shouldn't I?
Nightfall.
Yeah. I should remember that I've got those. My media team did a good job there. Okay, this is pinned. It's a pinned knight. It can unbreak the pin. Not break the pin, but only in a couple of places. Probably this is coming. Or probably this, actually. Because on f3, we might be able to jump in to e3. We have this trade at our disposal. You know what? Bishop f5 looks good. Make the attack. This also looks good in some world. It's quite hard to defend this. Knight d5 is not possible, which is the typical way of doing something like that, because this guy's going to hang. Okay, so bishop d4 looks good. f3 to defend the pawn. Knight f2. Oof, rook g1. Knight d3. C takes, and bishop takes the rook. So this move actually looks pretty uncomfortable. I guess the main problem with it is that, yeah, we might win something on the king's side, but, you know, when our bishop is off this diagonal, white is going to play this move. Okay, but we can defend against that, actually, just by castling. Right. That hits our rook and threatens a fork, but we can get out of both of those by castling and just lose a pawn. So if we win an exchange, or even look like a whole rook, no, it's an exchange, then that might be worth it. So bishop d4 comes into consideration, but so does bishop f5. I guess in bishop f5, then this knight is going to have to trot back. This looks weird. It looks like a move you shouldn't play because, you know, you should be getting your pieces out. But if it causes your opponent so much discomfort that it's difficult to deal with, it might be worth playing. And the idea is that this knight has no good moves. Ah, that's a move. Okay. Okay, so bishop d4, maybe knight d1 or knight a4. We take here with check. They play king e2, and after we move our rook, they have h3. Which is a problem. Oh, in fact, no, this defends f2. So then we trade. The knight's on a terrible square. Oh, and then maybe we play bishop f5. Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, so I'm happy with any knight move. How else do you try to defend this? Don't think this works. Oh, we're going to take here. Ooh, and then there's a knight e4 to get the bishop. Okay, I quite like this move, spending a lot of time on it. Bishop f5, I don't like this somehow, although it's probably fine. It's probably completely fine. Knight comes back to f6, and then they probably have to defend c2. And I just find this move attractive. I find it attractive. Attractive. On bishop b5, it's just c6. So okay. Actually, maybe this is possible. No, it's not, right? Because you think, oh great, what's that? The knight fork.
Nightfall.
And that looks good, but unfortunately your rook is hanging, so probably don't have time to execute it. Ah, okay, this is what we saw, that we figured was okay. Bishop f5, don't have to play that. Could be other options. Now the knight can come to this square, which it couldn't do before, as it was occupied. Alright. I guess this is a little bit more comfortable now, but white probably doesn't want to trade pieces. I mean, with the knight on b2 defending d3. So we will just trade. And then probably, I don't know. Maybe we won't even castle. Yeah, but maybe we will. Yeah, maybe we will, and then we'll push our pawn majority on the king's side. Okay, that's the other way of doing it, but keeps this bishop at home. Alright, so if we could get round somehow, can't do it that way. Well, we don't have to move that yet. Probably just castles long then. Where's this knight going? Could go here. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, but surely it's okay. Okay. Long castles? Anything better? e5 could be played. To play e4? I feel like this knight's gonna do something. So let's long castle. Expected. So knight f6 now. We can get to e4. Not bothered about g4 because we've got bishop e4. Winning a tempo. So this game turned out okay. Apart from that, you know, we're 5 minutes down. On clock, as they say in Yorkshire, where I'm from. Or on the clock, as they say everywhere else. Yeah, there's a hole here. That's a weakness, right? Yeah, this is a weakness, but you know, show me the piece that's going to land there. This is a more severe weakness in a way. Why is that? I guess a knight landing here is in an outpost, whereas you know a knight landing here is quite difficult. The corresponding square in our camp is protected still by a pawn, so I feel like I like knight e4 just to land in there and just prevent this pawn from advancing. Yeah, and then just rook e1 and e4, e5, e4, rook e8 rather, e5, e4. Let's see how it goes. We've got some great ones, yeah. If ever we get one that's
Smothered mate.
that would be pretty cool. Right, okay. Well, this makes this even more attractive because that would be a check. In fact, here they've got to capture back with a pawn. Sorry, no, knights can't do that. Which looks disgusting, quite honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just inflict that. The king can no longer capture, obviously, because it's a check. And then maybe we just pile up on this like so. So we're going to double rooks, drop this plan of e5, e4, because we've now got this guy. Understand that limits this bishop. And that we can probably attack that pawn and they're going to have to defend it. And then we can hopefully try to just improve the position, having created this bind. Okay, I think this is bad because you've got to then spend a move on rook e d1, because rook, what square is that? c3? There's this thing. And then this thing. So, yeah, attacks the rook on c3, the rook moves, and then this is a fork. So, let's go. So I'm thinking you've got to play rook d1. And then there's even knight e4 is even an option there, right? Because then this pawn is now pinned. The d3 pawn. So knight e4 would be an option, which threatens knight c3. Another fork. This knight's getting a bit tricky. Also threatens knight c5. Okay, this was always the idea. Okay, that makes sense. Das hat Sinn. Okay, so what we're going to do is blockade that pawn like this. Problem might be c4. kind of annoying that there are no super duper tactics. This bishop is still limited, so maybe that's what we should play with. Difficult though. Should think carefully. You know what? I quite like this because it allows this check. Yeah, and this looks like a good posting. Okay. Ideally, we want the knight here, right? So we're still a few moves away from that. I think something like that would land it there. But if we get the knight here, it's going to be so annoying. Because his pawn's not going to go anywhere. That knight is never going to be removed because it's a dark square. An opponent has a light square bishop. So that looks like a positional bind. And yeah, we threaten this check, which, I mean, is it anything? That's not nothing. Therefore, it's something. Yeah, but still I think knight g5, picking up a tempo on a2. That's not... Yeah, sorry. Knight b4, picking up a tempo on a2, and then knight c6 to d4. Okay, well, Ismail 0338, having a think. Having a good old think. Pawn down. Yeah, good idea, good idea. Okay, now, what does my route here look like? Well, it doesn't look like we've got one, really. We could play e5. I don't really like that. Somehow this pawn looks a bit loose, but maybe it's not. We can come around this way. Play e6, but then we've got no mobility on the 6th rank. We could give the check. The king's going to go over here, and that's pretty annoying. It's pretty annoying. Okay, any other routes? This might be a route. What benefit does that have? I think it just becomes a target, honestly. Difficult. We've got to make a decision. Something I'm not doing very well. Let's go e5. e5, dark square. It's got mobility on the 6th rank. Covers some squares in the center, and then that's going to be a protected knight. We might play f6. Have a dark square pawn chain. Yeah. Then, okay, bishop e7 makes sense. Sorry, bishop e2. All right, this one. I think it's that one. This is now just so desirable. Yeah, but we have this route as well. That was the idea. Two routes. So g4 was cutting off the f5 route, but we always had knight c6, and then knight d4 is a big threat. Why? Because the bishop is the only defender of d3, and once we whip it off, this pawn is hanging. So on this, I think it wins material. Bishop d1 would be the only way to sort of hang on a bit. But then we got knight g4, which is threatening two things. Okay, so this looks good. Why bishop d1? I think if you defend this, okay, now this picks up a pawn, I think. Yeah, so let's go. Does it though? Does it really? Okay, I think we've got to do it. It might not, because, you know, a knight here might get attacked. I mean, it can be defended. This pawn is hanging. Ah, bollocks. Okay, don't mind it so much, because we've got a check, which gets our knight out of the way. And we are a pawn up, so didn't really want to give e5 up and let this rook be active. But that's what's happened. We're still a pawn up. We just want to get rid of this bishop, so we'll come back to d4 next. And there are questions where to put this king. Don't come forward, do you? Because then there's a pretty nasty check. You're going to go here. Probably not. Yeah, okay. Alright, now there are 2 threats. It's quite difficult to defend this pawn, but there is this bishop move. Ah! Then we can actually play this. Give a check. Okay, so we could do this. Bishop takes. Do this. Ah, there's a king move. That's annoying. Okay, so we can't do that. Okay, but we can do this. Or this. I like this one. Yeah, I think we do this. This also looks good. Okay, I just want to protect my weak f7 pawn. That's why I've gone here. This is a threat. Not worried about this, because this guy's protected. Guess the question is how to meet this thing. Yeah, this is probably a good move. Yeah, it's been played. Okay. This rook, is it feeling the pain? Is it feeling the pain? Oh, you know what? Now this is a good move. It looks, that's a cheeky move. That's cheeky. That is a cheeky move. Threatening this. Oh, we had that. We didn't have it before. We didn't have it before. When the king was on e7, sorry, the king was on d2, if we capture and they capture back and we give a check, they have this king c2. Their king will see to it. But here that doesn't work, right? Because the king is on e3. So we've got a cheeky tactic to pick up that pawn, which our opponent has spotted. Good. Okay. Now there's a fork. This might be an idea, but I don't think it works. This is possible. Problem is we capture that with an attack here. Oh, we're also threatening this. Okay, I think we've got this game. Dare I say it? Sewn up positionally, but we've only got 20 seconds, so you know it's probably going to fall apart at the seams. But this is looking pretty difficult. Okay, now this is definitely the way to go. Shah. Right, and then this. I'm sure of that. Is there anything better? What about this? What about this? I think we should just try and trade off the pieces. The king may move into our camp, but I think, you know, we'll just allow that. Oh, you know what? That was hanging. That was hanging. The bishop was hanging. Okay. That's okay. We got onto the pawn. Miss these things when you've got 20 seconds. Alright, cool. Probably the king couldn't invade, actually, in our camp. I don't really want to give this up, but okay, it's alright. It's only the c pawn. Yeah, why not just run? We've got the d file covered. We should probably... Okay, this looks fine. Let's go here. We're going to give a check. Have some good pieces. Okay. Alright. Let's just keep going. I guess we probably need to somehow defend this. Bearing in mind that it's not actually attackable at the moment because... Oh no, it is attackable. Okay. We're going to go back here. That's the plan. Okay, good. Should we... Yeah, let's stick on the dark square. Want to go here. This looks, you know, like something that's going to win this. Okay. Oh shit, it doesn't actually work. Alright. I think we've just got to accept that we've messed this up. But we have got a pass pawn, which our opponent doesn't. But they've got 5 minutes. Okay, this is a thing. We'll go back here. Is that even a thing, actually? I think it is, you know. Capture that. They take... no. That's not a thing. This loses. So that's not possible. Okay, so we should have time for c5. In fact, this could be a problem. Where's the rook going to go? Let's think about this. Yeah, okay. Let's go here. Yeah, let's go there. Okay. Rook b5, king c7. Okay, let's just take... Well, maybe let's not take that. Okay. No, we can't do that either. Alright, I think we've just got to do it. Guess what it revolves around here is the fact that we've got a passed pawn, which we can probably jettison to try and improve our position. Okay, now we can attack this, and that's kind of annoying because it'll come with a check. Yes, this works. Doesn't work. You can't pick up this pawn. Because we'll go here, they'll take, and there'll be a fork forcing their king over there, and we'll run in and win the endgame. Alright, so now we should defend our pawn. Doesn't seem too bad. This probably doesn't work. I'm hoping it doesn't work. Oof. What happened there? I'm sure we had a very good position. Well played. Ismail, well played. Got the rook active. Probably should have been a bit more patient pushing these pawns. Alright. They're going to go here, we're going to take that. Oh, they didn't. Okay. Okay. Bit of this action. This isn't attacked. Okay. Oh shit. Shit, I can't believe I fell for that. Oh. Okay, this is not looking good. This is looking terrible. Okay. Oh goodness. Goodness. Okay. Alright, we've got no choice. We've got to try and bring the king back and defend this endgame 2 pawns down. Oh Jesus. Oh, that's just like fucking hell. You know, when you lose a game like this, like, right. Is there any hope? If we go here, they're going to go there, and that's going to be curtains. So I guess we need to give checks from the side. If they go here, we can't go here because that's also a mate. Oh. All right. Okay. Well. Yeah. Guess this pawn is pinned. That's the only thing we could hope for. This pawn is pinned. Okay, king advances, we take this, they make a knight with check, they have to make a queen. I still don't think there's any way out of this. Oh well. That's disappointing. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get mated. Of course. How did we lose that endgame? I mean, time is probably the thing which lost that endgame for us. Well, it's an immediate mate. Is that an immediate mate? Time was probably the deciding factor there. Okay. Just let them mate. Let them have the pleasure of checkmating. That one. And that's a mate. Well done. Well done. That's a bit gutting. That's a bit gutting. But hey, you know, at least we had an extra pawn and a good position for a while. Yeah, I think that went wrong there also as we let the bishop come in and steal the pawns on the light squares. That was an oversight. But it's a new game, so who cares? All right, so what's that? I think we're on evens, which isn't so bad. And we get Karakan. Okay, nice. Bisoman. Don't know quite how to interpret Bisoman. Maybe it's just a name. Bishop d3. No, we're gonna trade here and play Bishop d3. It's a special kind of infuriation when you play a game where you have just a big positional and material advantage, and then your opponent hangs on, and then they get some counterplay, and you just blow it. Like it's just, that feels worse than just being outplayed, even though objectively it's probably better because you had a better game. But still, it's difficult. All right, Bishop f4. I think we can play f4 here. I think that's the... Is that the thing? No, I think Bishop f4. Bishop f4. All right, viewers. My humble viewership. I'm going to love you and leave you on this one. See if we can get out with a positive score. And any challenges will be, of course, accepted. They don't seem to come in very often on a hot day like this. People have got other things to do. Fine. Bishop g4. Okay, this is alright. I think queen b3. So we attack the b7 pawn. Probably queen d7 or queen c8. Don't think you can gambit this pawn with a move like e5, which comes to mind. Suggests itself, some authors like to say. But not me. Alright, so idea here is to play knight to d2, followed by knight gf3. Ah, what's that all about? Okay, so there's various options. Oh, bishop d5. Bishop b5, queen a4. I think, there's going to be something like this happening. And then the trade is kind of annoying for black. So maybe we just play bishop b5, queen a4. We can also play queen c2. I mean, I think that this is just okay. Get rid of this monster, if possible. All right, bishop b5. Oh, there's queen a4. Queen a4, bishop d7. We'll play bishop b5. I don't think there's any other option. I guess you could play knight here to d7, and then maybe just bishop b5 anyway. Don't know. I'm gonna play bishop b5, I think. Yeah. Okay. A chance to get out on positive terms. Full Bob Vision back in the house every week, every Tuesday. Except for World Cup specials. Now we could play queen a4. Could be done. I mean, we have to move our queen and our bishop's attacked. We could also take on d7, but I don't like that. So queen a4. And then on this move, we'll trade bishops, and they have to take back with a knight because the queen is the defender of the a5 knight. And that feels uncomfortable, and it feels like we've got an edge there. So our life feels easy. Maybe black can unravel, but probably they're going to play e6. Then we're going to get knight f3, so we can do the speedy knight f3, knight e5, bishop c. I considered this, or I saw that it was possible. Is that knight going to capture this? I mean, it's kind of annoying. We could play queen b3, which threatens to capture this, and then 32 goes we take, and then they've got queen d7. Yeah, it's annoying that this knight has found its way in. But is it? We could castle long in an odd world. Like we could actually just castle long here. Oh right, no we can't, so knight's in the way. Okay, b3. A knight here. God, this is ridiculous. This is completely ridiculous. Who came up with this? Maybe we could come back with queen c2 and say, okay, we're going to hit you b3. To be a queen check, but we've got knight e2 against that. Maybe that's the only way forward. Queen b3 or queen c2. Probably queen c2. Of course queen c2, because we want to play b3. Okay. Alright, knight a5. We should have a look at that afterwards, because that's an unusual thing, but it seems to have worked out for black in this game. So I probably didn't do the right thing against it. Okay, now I think we've got to play queen c2. This guy's loose. Loose as a goose. Queen c2. This thing might come in. Oh, no. Probably knight f3 and short castles. With b3 at some point. b3's not a move you want to make because this c3 pawn is going to be weak, and you know it's on an open file, so not good. Nicht so gut. Okay. Now there are some chances to, you know, do something a bit fruity. We could play knight e2 and gambit this pawn with a rook g1. I mean, that may or may not be a good idea. Or we could play bishop g3, which is, you know, a way of defending. We could play this check, but I don't think that's a very good idea. The queen is not coordinating with the knight, so that's one thing that helps us. And maybe this is exactly what we need to spark up in this game. Spark up the game. Queen may land on f3, and then a knight d2, and queen captures. Might give us something. Then the knight may land here. We might not have anything. Okay, I don't like bishop g3 somehow. The knight's going to land here anyway, so I don't think we've got much choice in the matter. Yeah. Okay. e2, so we're gambiting a pawn. What's it got going for it? Well, our opponent's king is still in the center, and they haven't developed their bishop yet, so it's got that going for it. What's it not got going for it? Well, our king is still in the center. We've got to move this knight before we can castle long, and the e4 square is looking a bit tender. So I mean, this is forced, right? So queen f3. I guess maybe we can do. Okay, queen e4. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because the knight can no longer occupy e4 after a trade of queens. I mean, can after a trade of queens, but somehow that's less of a problem. Okay, we could go queen a4 check, and then throw in knight d2, which after a trade will put our bishop on d2. Knight g4 might be incoming, but what does it do? Actually, on queen e4, a queen a4 check, probably knight d7 is forced. And then we can just play knight d2, I think. So I'm going to go for that, unless I'm missing something. A weird kind of harmony it has emerged. Knight d2, like it. Right. That's a pin knight d2. And after this, I mean, is it so stupid to take with the king? The king's actually reasonably well defended, and then it allows an immediate rook e1. And this bishop's decent, you know, it's a decent bishop. It's a good piece. So yeah, after knight takes d2, I'd be considering king d2. Cover the d3 square, cover the c2 square, get a rook e1 in. Yeah, alright, not bad for a pawn. Not great, but not bad. I'd be interested to see what the eval is here. You know? Alright, Bisoman. Putting some thought in. As is right. Okay, king d2, you know, why not? Is it silly? I don't think it is. I think it's sensible. Sensible move. Weird form of harmony. Rook a1 coming. Yeah, we'd have to move our bishop, but then we'd have some sort of knight discovery. So maybe bishop g3, knight f4 to try and capture the d5 pawn, which even after e6 would be pinned, but if we have a rook on e1. So yeah, this is not so bad. I think we misplayed it, right? So they want b5 to liberate this knight. That makes sense. It's clear. Guess the question is, how quickly can we act? Maybe we play queen b3 on b5. The knight probably goes to f6, so we need to plan against that. It's not clear what that is. Bishop g3 and knight f4. And the knight might land on e4. Problem. Okay, but I can't see what else to do. So let's develop. b5 are coming. So options, either queen a5, which might allow us to get into c7. They're going to play knight f6. Yeah, so I think we need to maintain this pressure. A queen isn't defending any squares, so let's do that. Let's try and get into c7. Pretty sure we're going to get knight f6. Can we play queen c7 there? It threatens queen c6, which is annoying. More than annoying. It's a folk.
Double attack.
That's what it is. All right. 2 minutes down. Bisoman 2020. Finally going to get the bishop into the action. All right. My bishop g3, knight f4, which is going to threaten this. So I'm happy with that. I don't think we want queen c7 yet. Or maybe we do. That prevents bishop. Oh, well, bishop d6 is already prevented. Okay, let's go. The idea is knight f4, which hits the queen. There are no checks. And once the queen moves, for example here, we can take d5 because it's pinned, the e6 pawn. So probably queen f5 there. Okay, but there might be some, I don't know. I feel like we're starting to, you know, the gears are starting to turn. And we'll see whether the wheel actually moves after we had to apply the brakes. You know, big tunes we need. Right, okay. So this queen f5 is unfortunately forced. I mean, for us, unfortunate, because they can't mess it up. Can we do anything after that? Queen goes to f5? I don't know, but I think we should just go ahead. You never know. They might play queen f3, and then we've got rook e3. Probably they'll play queen f5. Then I think we should play queen c7. Bishop e7. And then, you see, the thing about queen c7 is it's going to hit this d7 knight, so it's going to prevent short castles, which I'm sure is what black wants to do. Yep. Just, you know, fans outside at the door, clamoring to get in. That door's going to be in a right state. with all them fans clamoring to get it right. Queen f5, queen c7. Okay, g5 might be a thing, but this knight's not doing any defensive duty, so I think we're okay. Queen c7 looks like a good move. Okay, here they just stay back with the queen. Nothing happening. Nothing doing. Rook e6 check. Doesn't look like it works. Queen c7. Want to play queen c6, which is a double attack in a funny way, because this pawn is only defended by the queen, not the e6. So yeah, queen c6 is going to attack d5 twice, and the rook. I guess bishop e7 might be the way to unpin. But once again, that doesn't allow castles to be a thing because this d7 knight is hanging. So there's a lot going on. Potentially, this is an idea. To get the rook involved. Okay, that was always an idea. Okay, this is protected, so it's not a massive problem. So we can actually play queen d6. Maybe we should just get the hell out of there. Oh, we can't, can we? Oh, dirty, dirty. Okay. We've hit a snag. Bit of a snag. What about this? Okay, I think we have to... we cannot unpin this thing. We can't play king e3. That's ridiculous. Guess all we can do is try and get the king to b2. Okay, it's not the end of the world, I don't think. So let's just try and get out of this awful pin. Is e5 a thing? Rook takes? Knight takes? I don't think it's a thing. I guess we'd have to take with the d pawn, which I'm not overly keen on. This was a good move. I missed this. My f4 knight being pinned to my king. Now I'm struggling to run away to try and get b3, b2, king b2 in. And get out of this session with a positive score, which was always going to be a big ask on a hot day like this. But you never know. Okay, come on, Biso Man. I feel like Biso Man's like, big dude. Sounds a bit like Bionic Man. And a bit like Bison as well, which is obviously a hefty mammal. Okay, how bad is this? Okay, I think we just got away with that. Right, I think we just got away with that. Because on this, we'll hide. Okay, good. And now, I don't think our queen can be trapped. Oh, maybe it can, because I don't think it can be. But I mean, sure, we can find a way out of there somehow. Not there, but g5 maybe. And yeah, this is an interesting position. They've got this thing going on the queen side. We've got a very active queen. We've got the open g file. Yeah, it's interesting. Oh, I didn't see that was hanging. Okay, this might present us with some options. Question is, where do we want our rooks? This is attacked as well. Difficult. Alright, I'm thinking of this. somehow. Yeah, maybe not. Should we try and push this? No. Maybe we should try to defend it. I think that's what we should do. Probably with queen c7 or d6. Queen c7, I'd say. Maybe not. Queen d6. Okay, defend it with queen d6. Then maybe try to attack this queen. Out of there, somehow. And then push this pawn. In the meantime, they've got a pawn advantage, is it? Or is it 2? It's 2 pawns. Oof. This is looking rough. I think Baiso Man is flexing. We're gonna get taken down. I mean, is it worth 2 pawns having these 2 rooks against, you know, kind of active? Against the opponent's king? Okay, that's what I was kind of looking for. Queen e5. Now f6 is never going to happen. And, you know, we might just get our queen to f6 and uncork something. I don't know what. Something. Before our opponent pushes and destroys us. Or they could just trade queens and go into a good ending. Okay, let's go. Alright, this is an annoying move. It keeps the rook there and actually threatens to capture on f5. But honestly, well, I don't know. We have a majority here. You know, our opponent has 3 extra pawns over here, but it doesn't look like it at the moment. Trading queens looked like a good idea. Okay, so we get this one back. That looks given. We attack f6. Yeah, opponent goes there. So now we have to retreat. Okay, I feel like retreating to here is the way. I want to go in here. Okay. Probably f5 will happen. Then we'll go h4. We'll try and get this guy in. Trade it off. Try to get some counterplay against these 2 connected pass pawns, but honestly it's going to be very difficult to do anything against Baiso Man. Oh well played. It looks like Lichess has defeated us, like by a point, which, yeah, fair enough. But it's been good. It's been good, some good games. There's been some positive signs. There's not been enough, you know,
deflection.
But there were a few.
Hanging piece.
Okay. I guess they're gonna. No, you can't advance because f5 is hanging. Okay. Ooh, what's going on here? They want to go here. We'll go here. Take back. No, I think we might have something. Let's try and get the king out. Yeah, now we'll just go king b3. And our plan, which is almost assured to not work, is to try and win these pawns over here and advance ours before they manage to push there too. Yeah, and they've obviously spotted that notion. Okay, interesting that we can do this. Right. If they capture, we can take that. This pawn is not hanging because it's X-ray defended. This would lose a pawn. I wouldn't lose a pawn. Okay. This is obviously not working because we pick up the rook. So now it looks like we might win this. Okay, this is a defender. Okay, and this is the best we could hope for. Well, you know what? We could capture this. Okay. Yeah. Let's come in and try and attack this guy. The king will have to cross the e-file. Yeah. I guess we can go here now. And if they give a check, we come back here, which is annoying. We attack this again. And we're threatening to... Oh, we did it. We won this pawn. Alright, this is a different kettle of fish now, because we've got passes. Might be coming in like this. If they go here... I think we have to do it this way. It's kind of, it's problematic. Okay, that's what kind of what I was hoping for. This pawn can't advance. This one can, but we'll still... No, it can't, can it? No pawns can advance. And our threat is here to pick this guy up. So in fact, maybe they've got to go here. And then we can maybe we can, yeah, okay, they've seen that. Oh shit, they just advanced, we fucked it. Okay, we really needed to do something about that, but we couldn't. Okay, well done. That's game over. Well played, Bizo man. Yeah, there's nothing. It's results. Well done. Alright, good games. Good games. Wasn't a bad stream. Wasn't the best, you know, but what can you do? You know, it wasn't the worst. We managed to win. What was it? Win, two draws, 2 losses. Or maybe 3 losses. I can't remember. Let's have a look. Let's have a look on the stats. Oh, well, hang on. Okay. There's a few losses earlier. Okay, I think it was 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses. Alright, well, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Back to the normal day of Tuesday. And we've got a new tea sponsor lined up, which is always good news. But yeah, until then, thanks for attending. And yeah, we'll probably see you next Tuesday on Full Bob Vision. Have fun, enjoy the warm weather and the World Cup and all that. And yeah, see you later.